Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to another episode of Cycling Insider. In this episode, let's talk about nutrition, and specifically, let's talk about carbohydrates. So the question is, how much carbohydrates should you take? But before we start, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe and hit that little bell icon, because it's gonna help in growing the channel. And of course, if you are already a subscriber, then definitely thank you. So, as I was saying, carbohydrates and how much carbohydrates should you take? As you know, optimal nutrition definitely leads to the peak performance in any sport that you are doing. But there is a lot of misinformation out there for the athletes when it comes to the topic of nutrition. Definitely you need energy to perform at your best. And there are several energy systems in the body. For example, you have a carbohydrate energy system, protein energy system, fat energy system, and different combinations of these. And when you work at your maximum intensity, carbohydrates are the primary fuel for the body, and there is no way around it. Also, carbohydrates are important during your endurance rides, your endurance events, is it running, cycling, swimming, and also when you do high intensity performance. That's where you really see the difference between using proper carbohydrates and being depleted in carbohydrates. You see, extra storage of carbohydrates in your muscles and your liver is called glycogen. And basically, you always want to replenish this glycogen, is it before training or after training, so you always have enough glycogen in your body. Also, carbohydrates are most efficiently broken down and also metabolized form of energy for your body when you compare it with the protein and the fat. And now we come to some guidelines. So, rough guidelines for the athletes are that athletes should take approximately 3 to 12 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight during the day. So, of course, this can, you see, depend on the type of training and the type of activity you are doing. That's why the range is from 3 to 12 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body mass per day. So let's do a quick calculation. So let's say, for example, you are 80 kilograms body weight. So if you multiply this by 4, you will have 320 grams of carbohydrates in a day. Why did I multiply this by 4? You can assume that if you are doing a certain physical activity during the day that's going to last approximately 1 hour and it has a moderate intensity exercise, that is why you can multiply it by 4 grams of carbs. So your body weight in kilograms multiplied by 4 will give you a number of grams that you need of carbohydrates per day. So 70 kilogram male or female times 4, 280 grams of carbohydrates during the day. So now let's talk about taking carbohydrates before exercise, during exercise, and also a bit after exercise. So we'll kick off with the carbohydrates before exercise. First thing to mention here is if you are training very early in the morning and you really can't eat anything, then I suggest you that the night before you should make sure that you got enough carbohydrates. Or in that morning, if you can, take 30 grams of carbohydrates. It can be like, for example, isotonic gel, or it can be something like a banana or a little bagel. So just that you have enough blood glucose and basically muscle glycogen, they should be at a good level before your early morning training. Also, definitely avoid the fat foods before the training, just because the digestion is very, very slow. Now let's talk about different timings of your carbohydrates, in the sense that, let's say if you have about 3 to 4 hours before your event, you might have a good meal, let's say 3 hours before your exercise, and then you should get approximately 3 to 4 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight. But let's say you are a bit tight with time and you only have like 1 or 2 hours before your exercise, then I would suggest you to aim for about 1 to 2 grams per kilogram of body mass of carbohydrates. So 1 to 2 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight. Again, very simply, if you are about 70 kilograms, then aim for about 70 grams of carbohydrates 1 to 2 hours before your main exercise. So now I can give you some examples of some good carbohydrates that you might want to use. Let's say you want to take 1 banana. This can be approximately 30 grams of carbohydrates. Maybe you're going to take 1 toast, approximately 15 grams of carbohydrates. Maybe 1 baked potato. This can be 50 grams of carbohydrates. Maybe 1 bagel with peanut butter, 55 grams of carbohydrates. Maybe 2 pancakes or 2 waffles. Personally, my favorite one. You can get about 20 grams of carbohydrates. Or maybe you want to take some white rice, like 100 grams of white rice would give you approximately 30 grams of carbohydrates. So these are some of the ideas for carbohydrate meals before your exercise. Now let's talk about during your exercise. So here there's a very simple rule. If your exercise is less than 1 hour, then don't worry too much. If you ate a little bit of carbs before the exercise, you are totally fine. But if your exercise is going to last more than 1 hour, then definitely you should plan on taking approximately 50 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per 1 hour of your exercise. So let's say you are running, a half marathon, you want to finish it in 1.5 hours or 2 hours, then definitely plan that in an hour of exercise you take 50 to 60 grams of carbohydrates during this exercise. And again, this can be in the form of different isotonic gels, or maybe a banana, or if you can eat, a bit of rice cakes during your run or cycling, that would also be great. Now let's talk about after exercise. So you have done your exercise, and now let's come to the topic of consuming the carbohydrates. So you see, when you are consuming carbohydrates after the training, this will definitely replenish your glycogen stores, and this is what you want, so you want to be ready for your next training. This is again a very simple model where you can take approximately 1 gram of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight per hour in the next few hours. Let's say in the next 5 hours you will eat this 1 gram of carbohydrate per kilogram of body weight. Also here you can definitely add some protein, let's say 20 grams of protein, good quality protein. Maybe it's a lean meat, maybe it's some kind of protein powder like a whey isolate plus. So these kind of good proteins, 20 grams of protein, could also be useful for just a muscle repair. And again, some of the examples here after the exercise, you can take a banana, you can take some peanut butter, or chocolate milk is a good choice, low-fat chocolate milk. Maybe you want to take some yogurt or some hummus, some pasta, or some fruits. So you see, this was a little bit introduction to the, I would say, proper nutrition when you are doing a physical exercise. I've kicked off with the topic of carbohydrates, and please do let me know in the comments below if you would like me to make another video, for example, about the proteins. So I think this is going to be it for today. I hope you like what I'm doing, and if you do, please do subscribe and hit that little bell icon so you're always notified when I make a new video. And as always, I will see you soon in the next episode. Pura Vida.